Hey guys, Retro Reviews here again with another Transformers Robots in Disguise video review, and this time I will be taking a look at the eldest of the Autobot brothers. We have here X-Brawn, also known in Japan as Wild Ride from the Car Robots anime. So here we have the Hasbro release of X-Brawn. He is a Mercedes-Benz ML32V SUV. That is his alt mode. It's actually based off of a real-world vehicle. One thing I do want to point out, with all of the Car Brothers, they do feature the chrome wheels and the rubber tires. And this one, more so than the other two molds, has really bad issues when it comes to the wheels cracking. I just think that's due to the fact that the wheels are thicker, so they're more likely to have those breakage problems, but I did want to point that out before I went too far, so that is one thing to pay attention of. This, being the Hasbro release, does have a couple weird points to it, especially when it comes to what Hasbro did to prevent it from being not have to deal with copyright issues. The headlights have been painted over, so they're just a little bit of a dot now instead of the full headlight, even though the molding of the headlight is still there. And then the rear taillights, or the taillights, have been completely removed altogether. That's pretty much it for like really big issues with the molding. Is just the difference between the Hasbro and the Car version is the fact that they changed those. The lights. The other big one is the weapons have been modified. The gun piece here, this one's a big problem because, as you can see, it doesn't quite sit as flush. And that's because it's rubbing up against the raised Autobot symbol here for robot mode. So that kind of is a little bit of a problem too for the Hasbro release. Anything else that this thing can do, it's a car. As you can see, he does roll pretty well, in fact. Those rubber tires do give him a lot of traction, so he can roll pretty much in any really good surface. Go ahead, he does have the an engine block in his hood, which is done up in chrome, as well as we do have chrome for the grille, for the bull bar, and then for the runners on the side, as well as, of course, the wheels we saw earlier. I also do like how the paint does have a gradient of the silver and then comes to green here in the back. That does look really cool. Other features, you did see that his hood opens up, but also, and this is actually used in the transformation as well, but the doors do open up. It does get a little bit difficult to get in there with the runners on there, but the doors do open up. There's nothing really in there in terms of an actual realistic interior. My favorite thing, though, is his head is just sitting where the driver's seat would be of a Japanese native vehicle. So that actually does happen in the cartoon. After he ejects Kelly, who is the running gag, why does this always happen to me character in the show, in the first episode, after he ejects her out of the sunroof before going to meet up with Optimus Prime and the Autobots to attack or to defend the city against Megatron, his head does stay in there for the remainder of the series. Anytime he transforms into vehicle mode, his head is sitting in that seat, so I think that is a funny little touch. And also, my fingers are a bit fat, but there is this removable piece here as well, so you can remove that, which mostly just serves to function the to access the screw in case there's anything broken, but it is also usable as a removable sunroof, so that way you can have that open as well and get some more light in there. But now that we've gotten this far, we'll go ahead and do the transformation. So as you see, first off, you want to, well, actually before we do that, let's close this back up. And I'll do a comparison of all three of the Autobot brothers once I get to the third video in the set. It's just due to the fact that these toys are so old. They're 20 years old. There's parts on them that don't really want to work anymore. And the other two brothers are actually the first Transformers who have ever been in my collection, so I know the abuse that they've dealt with through the years. I do just want to preserve them as much as I can and not transform them back and forth like pretty much once for each video. So we're going to, since he is the oldest, not in my collection, but also just the fact that he's also the one who I haven't had as long and don't have that much issue with transforming him back and forth, I'm going to go ahead and just, during his video, I'm not going to show him off with any of the other brothers. When I get to Sideburn, who will be the third one in the set, then I'll do a comparison of all three of them in vehicle mode, and then after the transformation, do all three of them in robot mode. So don't worry, I'm not forgetting to do them. I just want to do it that way because I feel like it's the easiest to preserve these figures and not get something broken. So that being said, I can go ahead and do a size comparison with him with a modern Deluxe class Transformer, this being the Siege Ironhide. Similar body style, so as you see, they are pretty much the same size. This feels a little bit more dense, and when we get to the transformation, this feels a lot more involved than this. So just the fact that this is $20 and this is $10 when it retailed in 2001, and this was $20 in 2020, that just, I know it's a battle that we all understand at this point, that we've just come to agree with. We don't agree with it a lot as the fans, but we just accept it and move on. So anyways, going ahead and taking a look at the transformation here for X-Brawn. Go ahead and remove these guns. This one can stay on. It doesn't really, it can be used just being pegged in there in robot mode as well. But just for the sake of us removing everything, we're just going to do that. And then go ahead and open the doors up. And then pull on the front section of the car. That will unhook this shoulder joint here from the front. And then kind of just swing it around. Take this piece, fold that all the way back to reveal the fist. And then just set it like so. And then for the rest of the part, we're just going to straighten the waist out. And then pull on this section, pull it up, and then rotate the wheels forward, fold these guards down off of the spare tire, which forms his feet, and then separate the legs, and then swing the waist into place like that. Take this arm here, fold this out, and then it'll rotate around to the front of the body, and then fold it down, and then fold the back up, get the door out of the way, and then fold the head around. And there we have X-Brawn in his robot mode. And real quick, the weapons can be stored back, this weapon here can be stored back on like this, and then if you hear any noises in the background, my cats are not cooperating with each other, so they're they're just being mean to each other, so that's fine. So, anyways, so these two guns here can peg onto the back. There's little pegs in right back here, and then there's this peg here. And I'm not 100% sure if this is the correct way to do it. This is the way I display mine, because it seems like it fits the best. Also, alternatively, there is a peg hole on the side here, so you can take one of the weapons and peg that onto his arm to be for later use when you take this weapon and then plug it into the fist. I'm sorry, I have the Japanese instructions pull it up here on my side just to see. Like, I do think there is some of the, I don't remember what the English instructions look like for this figure, the US release, but okay, so apparently, actually, according to the Japanese instructions for the Car Robots release, this is how the weapons are supposed to be on display, which is close to what I've done. So anyways, there we have X-Brawn in his robot mode. Oh, and the one other distinct difference between X-Brawn and his Wild Ride counterpart for Japan is that Hasbro added the tamper-graphed Autobot symbol on the front of all three. Well, all three of the cars have extra Autobot symbols on them. Well, even Ultra Magnus and Optimus Prime do. So, anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at that head sculpt. Now, that is a very well detailed head sculpt. Going back to what I said before with Robots in Disguise Optimus Prime, I feel like these toys do share a lot of engineering with Beast Wars figures, that being just, especially the Transmetal 2 figures, so they're a little bit more complex and a little bit more detailed. And as you can see here, there's a lot of detail going on X-Brawn. Those eyes are actually chrome painted on gold. Other details that we get to see now in robot mode, we do have a whole lot of new body stuff going on. Pretty much all the car junk is kibble, and the figure himself has a lot of extra detail being shown that wasn't featured in robot or in vehicle mode at all. Something that I did praise for Cybertron, just being the fact that you look at the figure, you know where everything's gonna go. This thing, it's just like, what is going on? It looks like a bit of a mess, but not as much of a mess as like a movieverse figure. So anyways, a whole lot more detail in the chest being shown here. A whole lot of arms detail going on. I do like that this one, that does have a function to it. And the actual hand itself becomes completely useless, but it's there as a hand still by detail. A lot more leg detail going on. And just overall looks nice. So yeah, there's X-Brawn in his robot mode. Some size comparisons here. I'm not going to transform Ironhide to showcase it off, but I am going to put him side by side with the Siege Prowl, which is another deluxe figure, very similar in terms of overall mass and usage of parts. So as you can see, War for Cybertron Siege Prowl is pretty much about the same size as X-Brawn, but X-Brawn has a lot more detail going on in him, and he does feel a little bit heftier. And he's also a little bit weighted on the side. And to showcase him off with another figure in the same line, go ahead and take a look at the recently reviewed Optimus Prime figure in his standard robot mode. So as you can see, he does gain, while Optimus Prime is significantly bigger than the Deluxe cars, as he should. Just this figure alone feels like it would be 2 to 3 times as expensive as this is, and that makes sense. Considering the fact that this figure with the other stuff is $40 and this is only $10 in regular retail back in 2001. I'm going to keep mentioning how much they cost back then. I don't have the knowledge, or do I care to discuss like the inflation between what it would be now with nowadays money compared to early 2000s. So yeah, that's a pretty good look at size comparisons. Articulation, we do have quite a good range of articulation. His head is on a ball joint. Due to the transformation, the ball joint is cut really low into the body, so he does have a little bit limited for a ball joint, but he can still look around 360 degrees, and he does have the ability to kind of look up, just due to that ball joint where it's cut. Shoulders. This shoulder does have a little bit of a backwards movement due to the transformation, as well as a ball joint for a full 360 degree rotation, as well as bending outward at 90 degrees. Elbow here is a ball joint with the cut inward, so it bends in at 90 degrees, and then also does rotate 360. It does allow for a bit of a barbell curve when it comes to that 90 degree pose, but that's also due to the function of his arm. This arm, we do get, instead of a ball joint in the shoulder, as soon as we're going to take these weapons off here for now, we do have, I don't think that's a ball joint. No, that is a double hinge, so it does hinge at the body for 360 degree movement for the shoulder, as well as it does hinge out a little ways just to get the arm out of the way. We do have a cut above the elbow for a bicep swivel, and then the elbow can straighten out about that far and then curl in about that far, so we do get almost 180 degrees movement out of the arm. This hand here is on a ball joint. So it does have full 360 degree rotation, as well as it does bend in. And also, thumb. The thumb does open up for use of the weapons. And actually, I think it being fully pushed in like that is the official way, but I don't like that because it's putting stress on the tire, so we're not going to do that. We're going to do it that far. Waist is fixed. It doesn't have any motion despite its construction using a ball joint. It's just due to the transformation. You can't get anything to turn for that. The hips are on ball joints, restricted due to the kibble on his back and his arm, but it is cut to get a full 90 degree outward, as well as to kick all the way forward, and then that's about as far back as it goes with the backpack in the way. Knees, we do get knees, but they are a little weird because the leg is supposed to fold all the way up here, but it doesn't want to all the time. But the knee joint itself has less than 90 degree bend out of it, And then there's also another ball joint here at this cut, which does make for some awkward, well, that's not necessarily a ball joint, that's just a double hinge, so we do get a little bit below the knee rotation, and then nothing in the feet, just due to the way it transforms. So just due to the fact that he does use some Beast Wars engineering for the figure, he does excel in posability despite having some shell former aspects to him. And now, yeah, for those gimmicks here, we're going to go ahead, as you saw, either one of these weapons can plug into his fist and be used as a missile. And then it can also peg in here for additional storage. And then all three of them do have the same size of bar for the chrome bar on it. And then with that opening thumb on the left hand, we can get this piece inserted into his hand. And then now that has a blade on the edge, so he could use that as a bladed weapon for this one. And then also any one of the other two weapons can also be used as a melee weapon too, with that chrome bar being put in place of that thumb. So he does have quite a lot to do in this mode as well. I do like how playable the figure is. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have left to say about him. He does a lot of good stuff. Quite possibly one of the best, well-rounded in terms of engineering out of the three Car Brothers. We'll take a look at the other two here shortly as well. But yeah, like I said, pretty much the best in terms of engineering, in terms of design, and in terms of also the transformation. It's unique, but it's not difficult. We'll look at another one that's a little bit more difficult, looking at you, Sideburn, here shortly as well. But of the three, he's the second most difficult one to transform. So he's the middle ground in terms of transformation. But when it comes to detail and overall design and engineering, I feel like he is at the top compared to the other two. And we'll take a look at the other two here in a moment. And yeah, if you can go ahead and find either him or his supercharged counterpart, which I will be doing a separate video review for that. If you can find either of them for a pretty decent price, I do highly recommend picking it up. All of the Car Brothers make for good display pieces, especially if you have all three of them together. So, and all three of them do have their own fair share of play features, as well as just overall fun factor when it comes to an action figure and a transformer. So any of the Car Brothers I do recommend picking up, but X-Brawn here is actually a really good contender for probably the best one out of the three. and we'll go ahead and take a look at the other two here shortly. So this has been Rancher Reviews. I hope you guys liked this video review, and I will see you again next time. Bye.